There is a move on the ice that doesn't exist in any rulebook. No name in any judging manual, no standard score attached to it at all. And yet, it might be the single most dangerous 4 seconds of Ilia Malinin's entire career. And he invented it himself, in his free time, just to see if he could. It's called the raspberry twist, and almost nobody outside hardcore skating fans knows the real reason he built it, or what it's quietly cost him every time he's tried it under pressure. Here's the strange part first. This move barely earns him any extra points. It isn't one of the 6 standard jumps the International Skating Union actually scores. So why would the most calculating, record-breaking technician in the history of his sport spend years perfecting something that barely moves the needle on a scoreboard? Because for Malinin, this was never about the score. Go back to where it started. He wasn't training this move in a rink with coaches circling him, breaking down every angle. He saw people doing something like it on the floor, gymnasts, tumblers, and thought it would be cool to bring onto the ice. He explained it's a butterfly jump with a twist in between. No blueprint, no precedent, just a teenager messing around with an idea that had never existed in his sport before. A divine sport. It took a while, he admitted, but I just kept practicing and practicing. Now it's pretty easy for me to do. That sentence hides an enormous amount of failure. Falls that never made the highlight reels. Months of a move that didn't work, attempted purely because he was curious whether it could. Now, here's where it gets personal, and this is the part most people scroll past without realizing what they're actually looking at. His own last name, Malinin, is derived from the Russian word for raspberry. His mother, Tatiana Malinina, was born in the former Soviet Union, an Olympic figure skater herself before she ever became his coach. So when an 18-year-old kid sat down to decide to name a move he'd built from nothing, he didn't pick something flashy or self-glorifying. I named it the raspberry twist because my last name in Russian means raspberry, a quiet tribute, a signature stitched directly into his own bloodline, hidden inside a trick move that most broadcasters mention for 2 seconds before cutting to the next jump. Think about who he had to become to even get the chance to add a move like this in the first place. This is a skater who at 18 had already landed the first quadruple axel in the history of figure skating, a jump most sports scientists believed was physically impossible for the human body to complete. A skater who would later become the first and only person to cleanly land 7 quadruple jumps in a single competitive program. He had already broken the ceiling of what bodies were supposed to do on ice, and instead of resting on that, he built something extra, something with zero competitive necessity behind it, something purely his. But here's the controversy underneath all of this, the part that turns a cute personal tribute into a genuine risk. Because the raspberry twist sits outside the ISU's standard scoring categories, landing it well brings him almost no reward, but a failure on it can cost him dearly. Read that again. He is risking real points, real placement, real Olympic-level consequences for a move the judging system doesn't even fully recognize. In a sport where every fraction of a point can separate gold from going home empty-handed, Malinin chooses again and again to spend energy and risk on something that exists purely because he wanted it to exist. That's not a calculated competitor playing it safe. That's an artist refusing to let the system flatten him into a scoring machine. And maybe that explains something bigger about who he actually is. Those who watch him closely describe a skater with playful exuberance, someone who pulls tumbling and twisting moves straight out of gymnastics and drops them onto the ice, with the raspberry twist as the clearest signature of that instinct. He's not just executing a program built by someone else, he's signing his own name into the middle of it, mid-air, every single time. Here's the twist in the story, literally and figuratively. After everything, the quad axel, the 7-quad program, the world records, it would be easy to think the raspberry twist is just a footnote, a cute Easter egg for superfans. But zoom out and look at the timeline of his career. The kid who built a move with zero competitive upside just because he was curious and wanted to honor his mother's name is the same kid who later walked into the Milan Olympics as the prohibitive favorite, and the same kid who months later stood on top of a world championship podium for the third consecutive year. The instinct that built the raspberry twist, chase the idea even when it's not required, even when it's risky, even when the system won't reward you for it, is the exact same instinct that's defined his entire approach to this sport. He didn't need to invent a new jump category just to feel relevant. He already had the records, he already had the medals. He built it anyway, because somewhere underneath the records and the nickname, there's still a kid who wanted to bring something from a gymnastics floor onto the ice and put his mother's name on it. That's the part of Ilia Malinin's story that doesn't show up in medal counts. Not the records, not the falls, not even the comebacks. The small, deliberate decision to risk something purely because it mattered to him personally, in a sport that almost never rewards that kind of decision. So next time you see him land it, that quick, twisting flash of movement most commentators barely have time to name, you'll know exactly what you're watching. Not just a trick, a signature, a tribute, a small act of rebellion against a scoring system that was never built to measure things like that. What's your favorite signature move any athlete has ever created purely for themselves with no scoreboard in mind? Tell me below. And if this is the first time you've actually understood what the raspberry twist really means, hit subscribe because there's a lot more about Malinin's story the highlight reels never show you. So that's the story. A man who built his entire identity on perfection, who earned the name Quad God through pure mathematical dominance, just stood at the highest point of his career and chose to call himself something else entirely. Maybe that's the real lesson here. The moments that define us aren't always the ones where we look perfect. Sometimes they're the ones where we fall apart in front of everyone and then decide who we're going to be next. Ilia Malinin isn't done writing this story. None of these athletes are. And that's exactly why you need to be here when the next chapter drops. If this video pulled you in, hit subscribe because this channel is where these stories get told first, and told right. Drop a comment and tell me what you think happens next. I read every single one. I'll see you in the next video.